Whether you know it as BanG, Bandori, Girls Band Party, or Garupa, you'll know that this franchise filled with its cute cast of characters, array of original songs and covers, dozens of live performances, and heartfelt stories have won over hundreds of thousands of fans since it first began. But what if I told you there was another side to the franchise? Another side of BanG. Hello everyone, I'm Storiesofstars, and today I'm very excited to talk to you all about something very near and dear to my heart. Something that I think deserves all the love and support in the world. The ARGONAVIS project. With the anime having aired in 2020's spring season and the mobile game having released in January of this year, I figured there'd be no better time to talk about the project than now. Over the time I've been following the project, I've come to meet fans old and new, and of all kinds of personalities and wacky sorts of people, and several of them have become good friends of mine. And I myself have been a longtime fan of the project, but I can't say I've always been a fan. Honestly, when I first heard the BanG project was introducing guys, I didn't think much of it, and kind of forgot about it. That is until I found ARGONAVIS in December of 2018. And became a fan in March of 2019. At that time, there were only a handful of international fans, and content was slow to come by as the project was still getting its footing. The fandom has certainly grown over the past 2.5 years, and the ARGONAVIS project has gone through a lot of growth itself. But even still, there are so many people that have no idea it even exists. And that's not their fault per se. ARGONAVIS is both newer as a project and, well, much better than when it first started. It still doesn't get as much promotion as it should. And that's exactly why I want to talk about it. In this video, I'll be going over a timeline of ARGONAVIS' activities up until the release of the game, the anime, a brief introduction of the characters, and the game itself. I'll put up timestamps if you want to skip to a specific part. I won't be able to cover everything, but I'll try to cover the important details. Now, before I begin, I just want to give a huge thanks to both the unofficial ARGONAVIS English Twitter and Estelle Twitter, as well as the ARGONAVIS wiki page. The people behind these pages play a huge role in the international fandom, translating and gathering information, and I can't thank them enough for their hard work. I'll be linking to their accounts in the wiki page in the description. If you were maybe on the fence about this project or had heard about it but had no idea what it was about or how to find out more about it, or you stumbled across this by accident and you don't have the slightest clue what I'm talking about, I hope this video will give a bit of insight into the ARGONAVIS project and why fans love it so much. Alright, let's dive right into it! Woo! Before I get into the ARGONAVIS project, let's talk a bit about how the BanG franchise came to be as a whole. Since many of you might have no prior knowledge of the franchise whatsoever, let me catch you up to speed a bit. BanG, shortened to Bandori, was created in 2015 by a company known as Bushiroad, the same company known for franchises such as Milky Holmes, Cardfight Vanguard, Revue Starlight, and most recently, D4DJ, among others. The project would focus on girl bands, something that was inspired by Seiyu named Aimi, who played guitar during the Idol Masters of Idol World Live in 2014, performing as her character Julia for her character song Ryuseigan, something that had never been seen before in an Idol Masters show. The project would feature an in-universe band with anime characters, as well as a real live performing band with Aimi at the forefront, which became the band known today as Poppin' Party. From there, 4 more bands were added to the universe and 2 more in 2020. Having 3 seasons of the anime, a mobile rhythm game, and a plethora of live shows with 4 live performing bands of the 7, BanG has become widely successful. The ARGONAVIS project was introduced in 2018. A boys band derivative of the BanG franchise, complete with its own original bands, songs and covers, story, anime, and mobile game. And like I mentioned earlier, ARGONAVIS is from the BanG franchise. I reiterate that because a lot of people seem to think they are separate things, which is not true. It's literally in the title! Sorry, I have a lot of pent-up emotions about this. It is a bit confusing though, since Bandori is usually used to talk about the girls, since that's all there used to be. Not to mention that it's still used to refer to as such, but basically, Bandori is the overall franchise with Girls Band Party or Garupa as its game, while ARGONAVIS along with its game is basically a separate branch within the franchise, using the original format as a basis. Think something like Side M from Idolmaster. ARGONAVIS is BanG, and always has been. It also doesn't help that they decided to give the project and the main band the same name, ARGONAVIS. The key in telling them apart is the capitalization of their names. ARGONAVIS spelled in all caps refers to the project coupled with this logo, while ARGONAVIS spelled properly is the band's name coupled with this logo. Speaking of its name, the name ARGONAVIS comes from a former constellation under the same name, which translates to the Argo ship. It was a ship that carried Jason and his fleet of men, the Argonauts, in the Greek myth of the Golden Fleece. I say former because the constellation doesn't technically exist anymore due to it being so huge. Instead, it was broken down into smaller constellations: Vela, Puppis, Carina, and Pisces. Also, according to the myth, the ship refused to go into the water until it was charmed by Orpheus' lyre, which is a musical instrument resembling a harp. How interesting. The power of music to make a ship sail. Who knew? The project was officially announced on May 12, 2018 during BanG Dream's 2-day 5th Live, featuring Poppin' Party and Rosalia, which got mixed reactions, as many people were unhappy with the idea of boys interacting with the girls, which also spurred a lot of hate onto the project. But I'm not going to talk about that, so I'll just end that by saying it was heartbreaking to see, and completely unwarranted. To call these worries, Bushiroad president Takaaki Kidani announced that the ARGONAVIS project would be in a separate worldview to the girls, and that he did not want to see the girls interacting with men aside from their fathers and brothers. As of right now, it's pretty safe to say that we won't be seeing any sort of interactions between the two projects, which I'm really disappointed with as a fan of both. Besides, could you imagine a duet with Kasumi and Ren? That would be legendary. Not Rosalia's legendary, that's a whole different legendary. Love that song, by the way. Their activities began later that year, starting with their first live on July 29th. Or rather, their zero first live, because their actual first live happened the year after. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, what do I mean by zero live? Well, that was the name of their shows before they gathered all their members, as similar to Poppin' Party, they only started with 3. They had 3 zero lives, all held at a live house called Shimo Kitazawa Garden. Starting with their zero first live, they had keyboardist Morishima Shuta, guitarist Hyuga Daisuke, and bassist Maeda Seiji. Because a vocalist hadn't been decided in the early stages, all 3 members took turns singing. However, Maeda is most notable as their early vocalist, with a short version of their very first song Steady Goes up on the ARGONAVIS YouTube channel with him singing. Personally, it's one of my favorites, and I hope someday they release the full song to the public. On September 15th, vocalist Ito Masahiro was added during their 0-second live partway through their set, and on December 10th, they revealed drummer Hashimoto Shohei in their Zero Beyond live during the encore. This date is also regarded as the day ARGONAVIS fully formed. The initial character designs created by Miyoshi Hikaru were also revealed for the first time. From there, we go to February 20th, 2019, where they released their very first single, Goal Line. The Blu-ray version comes with the full live Goal Line music video, as well as a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the video. May 17th held their official first live at Maihama Amphitheater with all 5 members, where during the encore, they announced several things, including an animated MV of Goal Line, their second single, and the date of their second live. Around this time, it was announced that ARGONAVIS would do a tie-in with the Bushiroad franchise I mentioned earlier, Cardfight Vanguard, and their second single, Starting Over Gift, which released on August 26th, would feature double A-side tracks. Keep this phrase in mind. With the opening for the Vanguard X Switch game and the first ending of the Shinemon arc. The Blu-ray version includes about an hour of footage from their first live. Backtracking a bit because I almost forgot to include this. But about a month before their second single released, ARGONAVIS had their 1.5 live on July 20th as the opening act on day 1 of D4DJ's 2-day first live, where they premiered the Goal Line MV. November 5th held the ARGONAVIS info presentation just before Anime Girls Festival, or AGF for short, where a lot of fun things happened. Remember when I said keep the phrase double A-side in mind? That's because that very phrase turned out to be the title of their mobile game. And the name of one of ARGONAVIS' new songs. What is with this double naming? Bushiroad, explain! This came along with the announcement of their anime and 2 new bands to the project, GYROAXIA and Fantôme Iris. The seiyus for the vocalists of each band were also announced, GYROAXIA's Ogasawara Jin and Fantôme Iris's Lounsbury Arthur. A few days later at their AGF stage, the remaining Fantôme Iris seiyus were announced, Wada Masaya, Fukuyama Jun, Yonaga Tsubasa, and Ayukawa Taiyo. On November 8th, ARGONAVIS got its own 4-panel comic series that would run in Gekkan Bushi called Puchiko Navis, written and drawn by artist Watarizora Tsubamemaru. The comic would focus on the members of ARGONAVIS and later the other bands in their daily lives, with cute and funny shenanigans as they dealt with your average everyday scenarios. December 5th brought their second live held at Tokyo Dome City Hall, and with it, they revealed the remaining GYROAXIA members as the second live performing band, streaming their debut online as well. Hashimoto Shinichi, Mano Takumi, Akiya Hiroto, and Miyauchi Kosuke. The best part about this reveal was that it was a complete surprise. Not that we kinda didn't see it coming, but the excitement in the venue was overwhelming and everyone was in full support of them crashing the live. What we didn't see coming was this. During the encore, they revealed the date and location for their next live, third live crossing at My Hama Amphitheater featuring both ARGONAVIS and GYROAXIA for a 2-day live on April 28th and 29th. As well, they announced the official ARGONAVIS fan name, Navigator, or Navi for short. On January 12, 2020, during their New Year's livestream, the 4th band was revealed, Fujin RIZING, with all 5 seiyus announced. Nakajima Yoshiki, Kanako Makoto, Abe Atsushi, Sakai Kodai, and Yoshino Hiroyuki. On January 15th, their 3rd CD, Voice Manifesto, was released as a joint mini-album with both ARGONAVIS and GYROAXIA. The Blu-ray version comes with the Goal Line animated MV, as well as 3 songs of performance footage from ARGONAVIS' 1.5 Live. The 5th band was revealed on February 15th during their Valentine's Day stream, εpsilonΦ, with all 5 seiyus announced. Sakakihara Yuki, Kajiwara Gakuto, Ichikawa Taichi, Minegishi Kei, and Tachibana Shinosuke. On April 10th, the ARGONAVIS anime began airing during the Super Animeism time slot at 25:25. Before each episode, they would host a stream titled Argonite that would broadcast on YouTube, where they would have various cast members react to previous episodes, read the synopsis of that night's episode, host drawing scene challenges, and just involve a lot of wacky banter and chaos. On April 29th, ARGONAVIS' 3rd single, Hoshika Hajimaru, was released, including the opening for their anime and the opening for Cardfight Vanguard Gaiden If. Raise your hand if you watched all of Gaiden If and you still have no idea what happened. The Blu-ray version was originally going to include a Hakodate trip featuring the band, but due to the COVID-19 outbreak, they were unable to go through with this. It was instead changed to ARGONAVIS Zero Live Selection, featuring 6 select live footage videos from their 3 Zero Lives, as well as the creditless version of the opening. April 28th and 29th's 3rd live crossing was also postponed due to COVID-19, and was instead replaced with what's known as a sound-only live, or Soul as I like to call it, but I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to say it. A new type of online show created by Kitaoka Nao, music producer for the ARGONAVIS project. It would use pre-recorded audio and cheers from past live shows mixed in a way to make it sound as if it were being performed live, combined with new audio dramas throughout to form a cohesive storyline. D4DJ and Bandori would host their own sound-only lives later on. While this was meant to act as a stand-in for regular live shows, they've been welcomed with great anticipation and love from fans, especially us international fans that wouldn't be able to watch shows like these otherwise. Props to you, Kitaoka Nao. They had special guest Felix on day 1 and Uchigawa Shu on day 2. And due to the success of these 2 days, they announced a surprise Seoul Day 3 on June 14th, featuring Kaminoshima Futa, Tsubaki Yamato, and Wakakusa Aoi, and Seoul Destiny Rock Festival, or DesFest, on June 27th to tie in with the anime. There had been talk of rescheduling 3rd Live once the state of emergency was lifted, and it was decided that it would be held in 2021 on March 12th and 13th at Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall, though that wouldn't be decided until January. At this time, however, they did confirm a new live to be held, Live Royal Fest, which just so happens to be the name of the festival that occurs within AAside. On June 10th, GYROAXIA's first single Scatter was released, including their opening and ending for the anime. The Blu-ray version features the 2 songs they performed during Second Live, as well as their creditless opening and ending for the anime. Jumping a bit, we go to July 25th, where they held Storyline Special Live, streaming for free on Mixed Channel and YouTube. The special refers to the fact that it was a live performance, but without an audience. The live featured ARGONAVIS and guest Ogasawara Jin and contained the afterstory of the 13th episode of the anime. And if you've seen the anime, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How could they end it there? On August 11th, the ARGONAVIS manga began its run on the Shonen Jump Plus website, drawn by Kyohei Miyajima. The manga follows the same characters, but has some changes compared to the anime plotline and introduces a manga-only character. The next day, on August 12th, ARGONAVIS released their very first album titled Starry Line. The Blu-ray version includes footage of the entirety of Second Live and a special booklet with the lyrics of each song and special messages from the ARGONAVIS cast and composers. August 29th held epsilonF's Short Soul Play With You, an info stream where they teased more game info and announced more short souls for each band in the upcoming months, as well as the date for Live Royal Fest. On September 12th, GYROAXIA's paid online live titled Ignition was held, doubling as a birthday live for the character band's lead singer Asahi Naita. It was also held without an audience. A special birthday acrylic was released for a limited time with tickets, and the only reason I bring this up is because I just want you all to take a look at this. Look at how ridiculous this is. Look at this dumb man sitting in fire. What are you trying to prove? Don't worry, I love this guy a lot, but just... he's just so extra. September 24th brought Fantôme Iris' short soul Histoire de Vampire and the first Navi stream, a stream dedicated to releasing updates on the game, which revealed some of the most important information we'd gotten thus far. The bands have pets! I'll introduce them later on in the video, but let me just say that they are all precious and I want all the pet plushies they've shown off in streams. Please! Ponchan! Before I continue, I should mention that AAside was actually supposed to release in the latter half of 2020, but the game was pushed back until 2021 due to quality improvements, hence the start of the Navi stream series. It was pretty disappointing, but looking on the bright side, that meant there was more time to work on the game and it could get the spotlight it deserved, with Project Sekai and D4DJ having also come out around this time. October 10th held Live Royal Fest at Tokyo Garden Theater, where all 5 bands performed original songs to not only a live audience, but simultaneously streamed a paid live feed that would broadcast in the US, Thailand, Korea, Singapore, Australia, Canada, and Taiwan, as well as Japan. While there was no official backing band for the AAside exclusive bands akin to the third from Garupa, Nakajima Yoshiki was joined by fellow cast member Sakai Kodai, and Lansbury Arthur was accompanied by a special Fantôme Iris only backing band, made up of former Visual K band members. The announcement of Bushiroad Rockfest 2021, featuring Raz, GYROAXIA, Rondo, and then later Fantôme Iris, was also announced at this time, just before all the cast members came back on stage to sing a 5-vocalist 2-band version of AAside. Unfortunately, Bushiroad Rockfest was also postponed, and as of right now, there's been no confirmation of a rescheduled date. October 26 brought Fujin Rising's short soul Furai Jokyo Monogatari and the second volume of the Navi Stream series, where we got a sneak peek at Furai's band story, their daily life, and some of the part-time jobs they could work. November 7th held AGF's 2020 live info stream, where AAside's 35-minute segment gave us the game opening, with more gameplay, amazing animation, and just a lot to be hyped about. Needless to say, navigators were floored when this dropped. Like Naita in the CG. Too soon? November 29th held GYROAXIA's Short Soul Preface and Navi Stream Volume 3, where they showed the rest of the pets and the adventure part of the game. You'll be able to select different quests for the characters to complete, whether it be a part-time job, live show prep, or even taking a rest, all completed in real time. But be careful though, because you can actually overwork your boys and send them to the hospital. It's kind of funny. And yes, it is possible to put all 5 members of a band in the hospital at once. They also confirmed that AAside would release in January of 2021, though a confirmed date hadn't been set. On December 9th, the joint omnibus album featuring Fantôme Iris, Fujin RIZING, and epsilonF was released and printed in 3 different versions depicting each band on its album cover. Depending on which you purchased, you would get a different cover song and an extra original song and voice drama along with the originals that come in all 3. And if you purchased all 3 albums, you would receive a Blu-ray of Seoul Destiny Rockfest. December 26th held ARGONAVIS' short soul Fuyubare no Serendipity and the 4th volume of the Navistream series, where they showed off the scouting as well as some other features like training and grade up. January 9th, 2021 held the AAside New Year's event. The stream featured all the seiyus of ARGONAVIS, GYROAXIA, and the vocalists of the other 3 bands. The cast played some of the game, did some scouting, did a read-through of a special New Year's drama, and finally, after several months of waiting, AAside was scheduled for release on January 14th. And I couldn't be happier. Which brings us to our final point. January 13th held Live Royal Fest Seoul Starting Live and Navi Extreme, where some of the cast members from all 5 bands played a bit of the game and showed off some of the initial card art that would be available to scout for as they waited for the servers to go up the next day. And throughout that time, they did so many things that I didn't even touch on, including digital singles, acoustic live streams, 3 radio shows, cafe and instrument collaborations, heck, they even had their own gallery showing, and so much more. Again, I would have loved to include everything, but if I did, we'd be here for hours, and you and my 6-year-old laptop can only handle so much. But looking through everything again has made me re-realize how much they've accomplished, especially in the latter half of 2020. And I'm so proud of them. And I'm sure by the time this comes out, they'll already have a slew of even more amazing things lined up, and this will be way out of date. But let's move on to a specific part of the timeline, something that was much anticipated by the fandom and perhaps the gateway to getting into the project: the anime. The ARGONAVIS anime started on April 10th and finished on July 3rd, running for 13 episodes. The anime was in the care of Sanzigen, a studio that specializes in 3D animation. The studio has also animated for the Bandori anime seasons 2 and 3, D4DJ, and cutscenes from Fire Emblem 3 Houses. The synopsis from My Anime List goes as follows. Ren Nanahoshi is a lonely college student who isn't good at communicating with others. He remembers the thrill of watching a live band perform when he was young, and spent most of his days searching for his own identity. One day, while singing karaoke alone, 2 boys named Yuto and Wataru discover Ren's singing ability. The 2 agree. This is fate. Let's start a band. Ren promptly runs away, but fate indeed steps in, and their journey begins. The anime mainly focuses on ARGONAVIS, with GYROAXIA lending a supporting role, but all 5 bands make appearances towards the end of the anime. The theme of fate and fated encounters plays a huge role, as well as the idea of following destiny versus following your own path. Similar to Bandori Season 2, both ARGONAVIS and GYROAXIA have an opening and ending each, and almost every episode features at least one insert song, most of which are either included in ARGONAVIS' first album or GYROAXIA's first single. Now, I want to give some of my opinions on how I feel about the anime, all spoiler-free by the way, but if you'd rather go into it completely neutral, or maybe you just don't care or you're not going to watch it, which is totally fine, you can skip ahead to the next part. So, as someone who was highly anticipating the anime since its announcement, what did I think of it? Well, okay, here's the thing. I was hyped about this anime. I've been waiting for months for an announcement, and when they finally gave us one, I was so happy. And in the beginning, I really liked it. But then I went from liking it to thinking it was a bit rushed, to hating it, and now just kind of accepting it for what it is. Although I'd be lying if I said I didn't talk about the things that bothered me from time to time even now. Basically, if you asked me whether or not I liked the anime, overall, I would say I didn't. However, that doesn't mean there weren't parts I enjoyed. I mean, there were some fun moments, both opening and endings are bangers. The musical performances were pretty cool and most definitely the highlight for me. And all of episode 11 was just delightful. And if you know me, you know I go back to episode 13 for a very specific scene. And while I had a lot of issues with it, I can definitely understand how others would have different views on it than I do, especially if the anime was their introduction to the project. There's only so much that can be accomplished in 13 episodes, especially when they're setting up the story for the game. So, for what it's worth and what it was able to do, I can respect that. Would I recommend watching it? Well, I'd say give it a shot if you think you'd be interested. As I mentioned, it's the easiest way to get introduced to the project as a whole and get interested in the other media within it. And it's an important part of the project too. It's ARGONAVIS' first animated introduction. And it would be kinda sad to see it fall to the wayside the way Bandori Season 1 did. Of course, it would make things a lot easier if the anime was more accessible internationally, considering it's only legally available to watch on the Muse Asia YouTube channel, which is only accessible in Southeast Asia. Bushi, I know you have an international ARGONAVIS fan base. I know you know! So I've been name-dropping characters and bands left and right this whole video, and you're probably thinking, Stories, I have no idea who you're talking about. And that's exactly what we're getting into next, the characters. At the beginning of the project, ARGONAVIS was the only band for about a year and a half until November of 2019. From there, 2 new bands were announced, followed by 2 more the next year, with 25 main members in total as of now and the foreseeable future. Each band has their own distinct genre and theme, reflected in their music and clothing style, as well as the personalities of the members themselves. Let's start with the main boys in question, ARGONAVIS. ARGONAVIS is a youth rock band created by 5 first-year university students, all residing in the city of Hakodate, Hokkaido. Each member has their own personal struggles, but when brought together by what their leader calls fate, they aim for success as pros. Their music is melodic and uplifting, combining poetic lyrics and beautiful piano phrases. Nanahoshi Ren, first-year law student and ARGONAVIS' vocalist, voiced by Ito Masahiro. He's a quiet boy who isn't good at communicating, a bit awkward and too straightforward, but genuine and passionate about what he loves. When he was little, his dad took him to an outdoor live festival where he discovered this something he'd never felt before. He decides to search for that something by singing at karaoke alone. Goryo Yuto, first-year literature student and ARGONAVIS' guitarist and leader, voiced by Hyuga Daisuke. Yuto is an incredibly positive person who always strives to believe things will work out, a bit brash but friendly and sociable. This positive mindset, however, masks a fragility of his, an inferiority complex towards his family, as well as his old band, causing him to lack faith in his abilities. Matsuba Wataru, first-year literature student and ARGONAVIS' bassist and lyricist, voiced by Maeda Seiji. Wataru is constantly worrying about everything, taking great care with planning and attention to detail to make sure things don't go wrong, and countering Yuto's positive remarks, only because he wants this band to succeed as much as Yuto does. He adores beautiful words, and it shows through his lyrics. Kikyo Ryo, first-year political economy student and ARGONAVIS' keyboardist and composer, voiced by Morishima Shuta. Often referred to as a genius, he can pretty much do anything and has many things he's good at, yet has no interest in pursuing any of them seriously, playing into his love-hate relationship with himself. He decides to join the band, hoping that he can be of use to everyone, and possibly find something he can be passionate about again. Shiroshi Banri, first-year business student and ARGONAVIS' drummer, voiced by Hashimoto Shohei. Known as ARGONAVIS' mood maker, Banri is very no-nonsense and pragmatic, while still having an open and energetic personality. His ultimate goal is to make money, but he's not greedy by any means. Family is very important to him, and he believes in chasing your dreams while being grounded in reality. But of course, they have one more special member, their pet. Pon-chan, a sweet male Pomsky Ren found abandoned in Shibuya, a bit clumsy and kinda dumb, but loved all the same. Next is GYROAXIA, a mixed rock band originally based in Sapporo before moving to Tokyo, composed of 5 university students. They play hard and accept nothing less at the accordance of their tyrant lead singer. They're regarded as the kings, the unmatched champions, and are aiming for the world. Combining rap and shouts with their loud rock sound, they know better than anyone just how good they are. Asahi Nayuta, first-year law student and GYROAXIA's vocalist, lyricist, and composer, voiced by Ogasawara Jin. Nayuta is, well, a perfectionist in the nicest sense. Also regarded as a genius and aiming for the top regarding his music, he demands perfect performances every time, and isn't afraid to kick out anyone if they can't keep up. He's very focused on his goals and will stop at nothing to achieve them. Satosuka Kenta, third-year business administration student and GYROAXIA's guitarist and leader, voiced by Hashimoto Shinichi. He's calm and collected, sparing no expense to make sure GYROAXIA is at its best for Nayuta's sake. He's seemingly thrown his humanity away for Nayuta, and while he is very nurturing, he can be quite cold and even cruel at times. Kenta is also the older brother of Wataru. Their parents got divorced when they were younger, and Kenta decided to live with their mother while Wataru went with their father, taking separate last names as a result. Misono Reon, first-year literature student and GYROAXIA's second guitarist, voiced by Mano Takumi. He's a serious and philosophical guy who believes in hard work and practicing, and is the only one brave enough to consistently clash with Nayuta. He hates the thought of losing to him, and yet he acknowledges Nayuta's skills as their vocalist and as a musician, and wholeheartedly believes that GYROAXIA deserves to be at the top. Agebono Ryo, second-year science student and GYROAXIA's bassist, voiced by Akiya Hiroto. He's an alien. Do we actually know if he's an alien or not? Nope, and it doesn't matter. He is the alien boy. That's that. He was sent to Earth as punishment for the sins he committed on his homeworld, and won't return until he's able to make someone on Earth happy! He's a special kind of genius, one who is able to keep up with Nayuta and the others without much effort. Takagawa Miyuki, third-year dentistry student and GYROAXIA's drummer, voiced by Miyauchi Kosuke. He isn't shy about his flirty personality, being known as the band's fan service, but is also quite stoic and very kind. As a former kickboxer, he decided to start drumming to get more popular, and always gives GYROAXIA his most powerful performances. And with them is their pet Nyan Kotaro, the original pet of AAside, a female cat that followed Nayuta home one day and has been with him ever since. Similar in personality and a bit snobbish. Next is Fantôme Iris, a visual kei band from Nagoya with a Victorian vampire theme and the only ones with stage names and personas. All their members are working adults and have the oldest members in the game as of right now. They combine elegance with the complexity of visual kei, drawing us into the world they created through their music. Félix Louis Claude Mondor, or Felix, a 30-year-old French language teacher and Fantôme Iris' vocalist, lyricist, and leader, voiced by Lounsbury Arthur. He comes from an aristocratic family located in France. He's seen as a bit strange, but does his own thing without paying attention to those who find him weird. His stage persona is the vampire lord Felix, who wishes to bring peace between humans and vampires. Kurokawa Tomoru, or Light, a 28-year-old medical systems engineer and Fantôme Iris' rhythm guitarist, voiced by Wada Masaya. He's a workaholic and refers to himself as a corporate slave, working himself to the point of complete exhaustion. He's often seen with an energy drink and hates being woken up early in the mornings. His stage persona is a dampier named Light, who follows Felix in his quest as his loyal servant and right-hand man. Suzaki Jun, or Zack, a 28-year-old gamer/NEET and Fantôme Iris' lead guitarist and composer, voiced by Fukuyama Jun. He's an anxious person who doesn't have the best of luck, but tries to maintain a positive attitude despite it. He's the only member who doesn't have a regular job, having quit as a sales rep after only 1 year. His stage persona is a vampire named Zack, who is recruited by Felix after being cast aside, one who is incredibly loud and aggressive to the point that he swears excessively. Mitsurugi Koharu, or Haru, a 32-year-old daycare worker and Fantôme Iris' bassist, voiced by Yonaga Tsubasa. He's one of the oldest members of the band, along with his childhood friend Diamond. Rough and manly with a bit of a mouth on him, but has a caring side as well. When he was younger, he was a delinquent known as the Mikawa Tiger, who found himself at the police station a few too many times, but decided to change his ways. His stage persona is a female vampire named Haru, who also joins Felix's legion after coming to understand his views. Kusunoki Diamond, or D, a 32-year-old cafe owner and Fantôme Iris' drummer, voiced by Ayukawa Tayo. He's a scary-looking but gentle-hearted man who is also frightened easily. As I mentioned, he's childhood friends with Koharu and would often pick him up from the police station. He also works as a night guard after his cafe, Chambre des Fleurs, closes for the day. His stage persona is a human priest named D, who accidentally summons Felix and decides to join him as his way of taking responsibility. With them is Johnny, a shy hedgehog owned by Jun and brought with him from Nagoya. Loves carrots and is named after Jun's favorite guitarist. Next is Fujin RIZING, a ska band from Nagasaki composed of university students and childhood friends. With their key instruments as the saxophone and trombone, their music is bright, energetic, and packed to the brim with fun and good times. They're also the only band to discuss their lyrics together rather than designating a single person. Kaminoshima Futa, first-year literature student and Fuji Rising's vocalist and saxophonist, voiced by Nakajima Yoshiki. Known as Nagasaki Sunshine, Futa is also known to be a hyper and naive emotional guy who ends up getting himself into trouble with his impulsive behavior. But he cares for his bandmates a lot and wants to make others smile. His saxophone is also very dear to him, which he calls Sakutaro. Tsubaki Yamato, first-year literature student and Fuji Rising's guitarist, voiced by Kanako Makoto. Literally described as a cool and good-looking idiot, Yamato tends to be on the blunt side with his words. Despite knowing he's not very good at the guitar, he loves playing and shows great enthusiasm for the things he loves. He's the only one of the band who didn't grow up in Nagasaki and had moved there from Tokyo at the beginning of high school. Hayasaka Kohei, third-year engineering student and Fuji Rising's bassist and leader, voiced by Abe Atsushi. Being the eldest of the band and the childhood friends, Kohei is referred to as Koni or Koni-chan by the others, aside from Yamato. Trustworthy, strong, and a hard worker, he looks out for everyone. Though he's a bit of a disaster with electronics, and the others have to keep him away from spicy food for fear of his shift in personality because of it. Wakakusa Ali, first-year literature student and Fuji Rising's trombonist and sometimes keyboardist and composer, voiced by Sakai Kodai. He's an emotional one, being described as both a tsundere and a crybaby. However, he's quite responsible and is usually the one looking out for the others along with Kohei. More like scolding them, and has a big heart. Goto Misaki, first-year economics student and Fuji Rising's drummer, voiced by Yoshino Hiroyuki. One look and you'd think he was a rough kind of guy, but Misaki's very down-to-earth and straightforward, and quite intelligent, despite being part of the Sanbaka trio with Futa and Yamato, that is. His hair is actually dyed blonde due to him being bullied when he was younger and wanting to change his image. Brought into this chaotic household is their pet Rex, an iguana Yamato found and decided to keep just because. Likes to sit on his hat and won't be held by Kohei. Yamato also believes he'll become a dinosaur someday. Hence the name. Yamato, why? Finally, we have epsilonF, an alternative rock band from Kyoto consisting of high schoolers, with their middle school genius vocalist at the forefront. Along with a second vocalist and synthesizer to set them apart, they perhaps have the darkest music, despite being the youngest. Ah yes, the sweet smell of teen angst. Ujigawa Shu, middle school first year and epsilonF's vocalist, composer, lyricist, and leader, voiced by Sakaki Haruyuki. Described as an angelic young boy by many, in actuality, he's devilish and cruel. He enjoys causing trouble, seeing people as toys and things to play with, and finding faces painted in despair to be enjoyable to look at. His father is the head of Duck River, one of the top 3 record labels in the world and the sponsor of LRFest. Nijo Haruka, high school second year and epsilonF's guitarist and vocalist, voiced by Kajiwara Gakuto. Another genius, excelling in studies, sports, and music, but compared to his younger twin brother by his parents and peers, who he hates. Prideful and a bit of a loner, Haruka doesn't seem to care much about anything, always irritated at the world around him. Nijo Kanata, high school second year and epsilonF's bassist, voiced by Ichikawa Taichi. He's Haruka's younger twin brother. He's a very easygoing and chill guy, sociable and popular among his fellow classmates, and a bit of a partygoer. But he has a sort of twisted love for his brother. He clings to him constantly, trying to keep him away from others to have him all to himself. Kurama Tadaomi, high school third year and epsilonF synthesis, voiced by Minagishi Kei. He's described as a princely type of character who's pleasant to be around. However, this masks the fact that he doesn't understand emotions for himself and will copy the emotions of those around him in order to fit in. Wanting to understand them better, he observes people and joins epsilonF. Karasuma Reiji, high school third year and epsilonF's drummer, voiced by Tachibana Shinosuke. He's a straight-laced and proper guy, the one keeping things organized for his band. Adopted into the Karasuma family, Reiji essentially became the butler of Shu at a young age, going along with his antics, but underneath his obedient nature, he truly despises all of humanity, especially Shu. And these trendy kids deserve a trendy pet, right? Paru-chan, an axolotl owned by Kanata, though Reiji usually ends up taking care of him. Looks great in photos and only lets Kanata hold him. So, any favorites so far? For me, I'm 500% an ARGONAVIS gal. They've had my heart since the very beginning and still do to this day. Ren is by far my best boy. Oh, I love him so much! But every boy in ARGONAVIS is my best boy, honestly. Ren's just that special. And of course, I can't forget Ponchan, the sweetest pup I've ever seen. Oh my god! Outside of ARGONAVIS, I like Leon, Tomoru, Yamato, and Haruka. Huh. It appears I might have a type. But honestly speaking, I like everyone a lot. I don't think I've ever been into a franchise where I didn't dislike or not care about at least one character, so good job, ARGONAVIS Project! So with all these characters and only a small cameo for the last 3 bands in the anime, a lot of navigators are eagerly awaiting for more information. So let's talk about our final topic, the game. AAside was announced during ARGONAVIS' 2019 info livestream. Earlier, I mentioned that it was originally slated for release in the second half of 2020, but it got delayed due to quality improvements. Luckily for us, the hardworking ARGONAVIS staff didn't leave us hanging for all those months. In the meantime, they gave us the Navi Stream series, where the cast teased new information about the game and shared small portions of gameplay and stories that would be featured. The stream would then become a weekly segment after the game's release. Instead of being handled by Craft Egg like Garupa, the game is in the care of DNA, which also handles Pokemon Masters, among others. The game synopsis goes as follows, translated by Estelle. It's a time where bands that burst out of Japan are holding activities overseas and shining brightly like the stars there. To search for the stars of the next generation, there's a festival that serves as the summit for amateur bands. It holds the fastest ticket to the world beyond. It's named Live Royal Fest. Set in the city of Tokyo, 5 bands have been chosen from across the country to participate in this festival. Only the victorious band that reaches the summit of the festival will be given reputation, money, and support to head overseas. No band that has fallen out of the festival has ever been able to recontest in the Live Royal Fest. For the sake of winning this once-in-a-lifetime chance, these bands are clashing on the stage of wild enthusiasm. The app is described as a rhythm adventure game combining quests in real time along with the rhythm game aspect. Separated by band, characters will be sent to do different tasks chosen by the player in order to fulfill the given quest. The option to fast forward through these tasks with the use of items or paid gems is also there to utilize. Characters will also be able to interact with each other during these quests in area conversations that appear at random. The game is also quite story-heavy, with character history timelines and original song-related stories alongside the main stories, band stories, and events. The rhythm gameplay is familiar to Garupa's engine, but there are some differences, such as being able to play through the rest of a song even if you lose all your health, as well as a slightly different interface and maybe the most infuriating green slide note I've ever encountered. Don't worry, it gets easier with practice, but at the beginning it feels almost impossible to land them right. One of the biggest differences, however, is the addition of 3D MVs and models to the game, with the ability to switch out characters and customize costumes and accessories. While there are some similarities, I wouldn't go into this game thinking it's just going to be the male version of Girls' Band Party. For instance, in order to increase band rank, you must do the quests correlated to each band and switch between them. While in Garupa, you increase band rank through area conversations and using certain members in live shows. The adventure part of the game is just as important as the rhythm aspect. Speaking of the rhythm aspect, for those who may be wondering, what kind of covers is AAside gonna have? Well, see for yourself. these, other cover songs have been announced during live streams and some revealed during Souls. As of right now, there's been no confirmation for a global release, but seeing as how Bushiroad has done so for many of its other games, I'm hopeful AAside will be a part of that. By the way, if we do get a worldwide release, I propose that we call it WSide. Like AAside, but with W, like worldwide. I don't know, I think it works. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. Finally, I am so sorry for my incessant rambling. I really cannot shut up about this project. But with all that said, if you made it all the way here, I just want to say thank you. I've never made this kind of video before, and having you watch it the whole way through, it means a lot to me. This video has been in the works for about a whole year at this point, and I've had this idea months before I even began writing the script, so to see that it's actually finished is kind of surreal. Even if it sucks, I'm proud that I finished it. If I've somehow piqued your interest and you decide to dip your toes into the project, that's amazing and I'm so happy to hear that. And if not, that's okay too. I'm just happy you decided to hear me out and give it a chance. Like I said, the ARGONAVIS project means the world to me. I can't even begin to express just how important it is to me and how happy it's made me. And there's been so much love put into this project as well. The staff and the seiyus love it to pieces. You can just tell they all want this project to be a success by how much they put into the content that's been released. Not to mention that I recently learned there's only 10 people currently staffed on this project, not including the seiyus or the game devs. 10! Major props to them, but oh my god, Bushiroad, have some faith in this project, hire some more people! I'm sure many of you can relate with your own beloved projects and franchises. If, at the very least, you can share this with someone you think may be interested, that's more than enough for me. But that'll do it for now. If you want to find out more for yourself, I highly recommend checking out the official YouTube and Twitter accounts, as well as the unofficial ARGONAVIS English Twitter, Estelle Twitter, and the ARGONAVIS Wiki page. And if you do decide to get into the project, I also recommend looking into the Internavi and Intronavis tags on Twitter, as you'll be able to find tons of other international fans. And stream their songs while you're at it too. There's an official ARGONAVIS playlist on Spotify with all of their songs. Well, almost all their songs. And hopefully by the time this is out, it'll be my 2-year anniversary since becoming a fan. Man, it's kind of amazing that I've stuck with this project for so long. But then again, I've been a fan of Cardfight Vanguard for almost 8 years at this point, so this is barely scratching the surface. I hope the ARGONAVIS project can become something as long-lasting as that as well. I think it really has the potential and the means to become something amazing and accomplish great things, even more than it already has. As a great song once said, 今がゴールじゃないんだよここまで来たんだろう Which translates to, this isn't the goal. Not after we've come so far. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait to see how much further this project can grow. And, you know, despite all the things going wrong in the world, and in my life, at least I have cute band boys to distract me. Until we meet again!